Hi, my friends. So let's quickly go through the previous task that was worked on. What I have simply done here is to create a folder, and I'm going to have the task structured within this folder. Let's go ahead and pull this up in VS Code so that we can go through the task. First, I'm going to create a file here. Let's call that main.py. Let's just ensure that this runs successfully. So let's pull up the terminal from here. I'm going to simply say python main.py, and yes, this is currently working. Okay, so we're not going to be installing any packages, so I don't necessarily need to set up a virtual environment for this. What we are trying to do is just build up a function, a simple function that we can use to accept values simply coming from the inputs as arguments, and then at the end of the day we just have to present those values after we have pushed those values into a cat dictionary, which is going to be printed as the final result. All right, so let's get straight to it. I'm going to create a cat here, and our cat is simply going to be an empty dictionary. We're going to be adding values using the while loop I have here. So we're simply going to create a loop that we can break out of if we enter a specific keyword. We're going to be using done as that string that when entered we then break the loop. Okay, so let's start by accepting the item name. This is going to be an input. We would simply say enter item name or press done. So let's do this done to finish, right? So if the user gets to enter the value done, then we would simply break that loop. So I would say if item.lower, which is to say when I convert that item to lowercase, if it's done, proceed to break that loop. Okay, so this is just basically giving us a way to start accepting those values. All right, next I'm going to accept price. So if we accept the item name, we're going to accept the price next, and for the price we would simply accept the float input, right? We would say enter item price, and we are next going to accept the discount. So I would simply say give us a discount, right? This would be an input, enter discounts if any, right? Let us separate this by spaces, right? So separated by spaces, which means we're simply going to split the value by the space right there. So I would simply go ahead and take off any trailing spaces. So let's say dot strip. All right, so we're simply going to use dot strip right here. Next, I'm going to simply say after accepting the discount, let's just proceed to pass that as float the value for that specific value in discount.split. So this is where we split. And if discounts, so yeah, what is going to happen here is that it's going to check if there's a discount entered. It's going to perform this action. If there is no discount entered, then it's not going to do anything. So I'm going to simply say details input. So let's say details, let's call this input equals input. So we're going to accept the details of that particular product. So let's say enter item details. So we'll simply say enter item details. Let's give some examples here, e.g. we have color to be red, just like what we have seen in the question, or we have size to be large. Okay, we are still going to take off this trailing space. So let's say details equals this. Now what we have here is that we simply want to take the details input, and then we look through each item and to pass that item to the details dictionary, basically as key value pairs. Okay, so now I am going to say if details input, if we have a value in there, go ahead and check for pair in details input dot split, right? So if we split that, check for the pair. Let's put this in a try except block. So now I'm simply going to say the key and value equals pair dot split. So we're splitting this by the equal sign right there. That is dot split, exactly. Okay, and we would say details with the value of that key equals value. All right, okay, so next we're simply going to say accept, and next we're going to simply say accept if there's an error, right? So we say we have a value error. Let us print a formatted string here. So I'm going to say ignoring invalid detail. Let us grab the pair just like this. Okay, and let's say details must be in. So we have to specify, the key value structure or the key value format. Okay, and yeah, we're simply saying this is, how we want this to look like, right? This is what we want. Okay, so that is it. Next, we are simply going to add this to cart. So let's create that function. We're going to call this function add to cart, and we're going to pass in the item name. We'll pass in the price. We'll also get to pass in the discounts as well as the details, right? The details. Okay, so we're doing this because we're simply going to use arguments and keyword arguments, for these values that we have in here. So let's go outside of that, while loop, and we'll simply have another function to call this. But before we do that, let us proceed to create that function. Okay, so the function we're going to create here, let's call that add to cart. We'll simply have the item name, just like we've specified. We'll have the price, we'll have the arguments that will be accepted, and the keyword arguments that we are going to take some values from. All right, so let's have a comment here that says calculate the final price after applying discounts. Okay, so the final price, it's simply going to be the price that we accept, inside that function. And we're simply going to say for discount in the arguments, let's proceed to grab those discounts, and let's do the math to get the actual final price. So I would say the final price, we're going to multiply that by saying the final price is equals the final price multiplied by the discount rates that we get in there. So let's just say 1 minus discount divided by 100. Right? Okay, so because this is simply for one item, so that is why we have this formula right here. Let's proceed to say check if the item already exists in the cart. Okay, and we can simply do that by checking if the item name is in the cart already. Let's say print if the item name is actually in the cart, we can simply print it this way: the item name, it's already in the cart. So let's just go out here, and the item name, just like this, already exists in the cart. Okay, all right, so that is how you check if the item is already in the cart using our example here. We are then going to add the item to the cart with the details of the item, of course. So let's say add the item to the cart with its details. Yeah, just like this, details. So I'm going to simply say cart with the item name. So with this, we are going to basically select that specific item name on the cart. Okay, so I'm going to say this is the final price, which is basically going to be the key that I use here, and we're going to say this is equals the final price based on our calculation, the final price, just like this. And we would also pass in the details. The details is simply going to be the keyword arguments that we have passed in here earlier. All right, so let's go ahead and print these values. So I'm simply going to say with a formatted string, the item added, just like this. I would say the item name, right, as well as put in the final price after calculating that discount. So let's go ahead and pass this in here just like this. We have the final price exactly. We are basically working with the float here, so let's round that up. Okay, so now we have this function. Let's collapse this so that we can see this clearly. All right, so this is the function that would print out the detail that has been added into the cart. Let's go ahead and call our function. This should be add to cart. Let's make sure we are following the same name. Okay, correct. So we have a function that would simply display the cart summary. Okay, so this is what we are simply going to call here. Let's go ahead and create that function. So I'm going to simply say def display cart summary, and we are simply going to print, let's just say we are printing out the cart summary just like this. And yeah, okay, so let's proceed to put in the total costs. So I'm going to say total cost equals 0, and I would simply say for item and the data in the cart.items. Let us look through. I would simply say the final price equals the data, just like this, and would grab the final price from there. So final price. Okay, we're simply going to do a string join here to grab the details. So let's just say we have the details equals our string dot join, and this is basically the value we're passing in here, right? If you look at this, you'll definitely see that we're doing what we call a list comprehension, just to make it easier. Of course, you can simply run through a loop to give you this. So I am simply saying the key and the value. We're basically pairing that up here within that string for the key value in the data dot details, which is of course what we've passed into the cart already. So this is the details of the item that we have inside that cart. All right, so we have dot items there, which is to say we are taking the details value from the item. Now we're saying print that value by giving us the item name, the final price, as well as the details that have been collected in here. Okay, so this is how you basically print the cart summary, and we can proceed to run this from our terminal. Let us say python main.py. So now it's asking us for an item. I would say fish, the price of the fish, let's just say 2,000. If there's a discount, let's say we have 10% discount. Let's enter some additional details. I would simply say the color, it's red. Actually, let's just say brown. Okay, and you see we have the item added there with the fish. Get the final price basically after the discount has been applied. All right, so 10%. Okay, so this is basically how you enter those cart information within the terminal. We are still running the code within the while loop. If we go ahead and put in done, this loop is going to break and you have a final summary. If you have any questions, do well to ask your questions in the Discord server, and you have the moderators answer your questions. Feel free to tag me in the community, and I would also respond to you. Thanks a lot, and let's have a wonderful time.